Hey y'all, Iric Sky here, and I've got the Ronin-S, and I've temporarily taken my A7 III off of it because that's what I'm filming this video with. But I unboxed this on Friday, and you can look back to my video, see my unboxing video. And after unboxing, I've been through just one challenge after the next, trying to get this thing perfectly balanced. And I'm proud to say now that it is. And since it is perfectly balanced, in my opinion, I want to share with you everything that I did to balance this thing perfectly, to balance the Ronin-S perfectly for the Sony A7 III. So I'm using the Sony A7 III and a 25mm lens. You can check the link within this video's description to find the A7 III, the lens, and obviously the Ronin-S. And also this tripod I'm using that I've got the A7 III on right now. Although its plates will not work in the Ronin-S, the Ronin-S plate will work with it. So I've actually got my camera with the Ronin-S plate on, and it's attached to the tripod to film this face-on video segment. So there's a few things you want to do. First of all, one of my primary pain points was, I read the documentation that came with my Ronin-S, the printed documentation that was in the box, and there were some pieces of information on there that weren't 100% clear. Number one, since I'm using a Sony camera, and one might think that Sony is arguably one of the most popular cameras in the world, and they are, and it has a USB-C and also a micro USB port. So when I opened the Ronin-S box, I had a micro USB cable, I had a USB-C cable, and it had this funny looking cable with a little silly looking tip on it. So long story short, the documentation wasn't perfectly clear, but what I had to do for the Sony Alpha, even though my Sony Alpha had the USB-C and the micro USB ports, I had to use the third cable, the IR cable. Because with Sony, at least at the time of posting this, hopefully there will be a firmware update that will enable functionality like the GH5 has. But with Sony at this point in time, you've got to use that cable, because what that cable does is that it acts like an infrared remote. So basically it's positioned, it's a semi-rigid flexible cable, and you position it directly in front of the infrared sensor on the right side grip of your Sony Alpha camera, in my case the A7 III. So when you push the record button on the Ronin, it sends a little IR beam out, and it's the equivalent of initiating record with something such as this, like this Sony Alpha remote that I'm using. The only difference is instead of pointing this at it, there's a cable reaching around that's pointed at it that's attached to the Ronin. So that was my first point of failure. It wasn't really perfectly clear within the documentation. Also, the DJI printed documentation, there's several axes on this. There's one there, and then there's one here. There's one here, and then of course this plate right here will slide across. So there's one there, and then the plate on the bottom of the camera, it can slide forwards and backwards. So there's a lot of adjustment points. What wasn't clear for me within DJI's documentation or DJI's How to Balance Your Ronin video that's on YouTube was that once I got to that point, the one that was referred to as the roll axis. What did I do with that? And I found a YouTube channel. There was a guy that actually he demonstrated that was the last step referenced within the DJI's instructions. And he said, okay, tilt it this way, does it move? And then tilt it that way, does it move? If so, you need to continue to adjust. And sure enough, I continued to adjust. And after doing that, I was able to achieve what I thought was perfect balance. So after doing that, I'm going to sit this down for a second here, because I'm going to pull open the app. So the DJI Ronin-S app, after perfectly balancing the camera itself, the hardware, there's a lot of other things that one should do, at least I had to do for my Sony A7 III. So I went into motor parameters. Now I had people shared mixed opinions about this on my YouTube channel. Some people said, hey man, put it to high. But it turns out my optimal settings for motor parameters are low. So I set that to low, and then I ran an auto tune, obviously with the camera perfectly stabilized on the Ronin-S on a hard and flat surface. And after running that auto tune, that helped tremendously. Now, in addition to that, in the smooth track, I did enable smooth track for pan. I didn't enable it for tilt or roll, but I enabled it for pan. Then I went into settings, and within settings, I went into more. And then I went into balance test. So that tested the balance. All the axes reported as being excellent according to the app's balance test. So that was good. Then I ran a system calibration. So after doing all of that, I was able to achieve, and you can check out my most recent videos, I was able to achieve that level of stability. And that's what I was looking for out the door. But it took me from Friday, when I unboxed this thing, all the way until Wednesday, actually Tuesday, because I balanced it Tuesday night, and I tested it today, filmed those videos today, which is Wednesday. It took me that long to piece all of these clues together and to balance this. Now, I'm not trying to scare you away, because, you know, once you get it balanced, hopefully, once it's balanced, unless you're changing your camera body or changing your lens or putting additional accessories on it that will affect the weight, if the camera and lens combo remains the same at all times, in theory, unless something comes loose, there's probably not a need to rebalance, and that's a good thing. So this is an initial point of frustration that you may have to go through, and it's, if you're not a patient type of person, don't pick this up, because it'll probably take you a while to achieve optimal balance. Now, something you may notice about this is that each axis has measurements on it. What I don't understand, and what would be nice, if the manufacturer would take the time to pick up common cameras. So, for example, in my case, the A7 III and a 25mm lens. Pick up these camera bodies, pick up these lenses from various manufacturers, and balance it. The experts within your laboratory that know the Ronin-S inside, should know the Ronin-S inside and out, have them put that camera and that lens on a Ronin-S on a workbench and jot down the measurements for each axis point and say, okay, if using this camera body plus this lens, set axis 1, 2, 3, 4 to whatever, and they would give you the measurements. That would be perfect, because that would take the guesswork out of the balancing process for camera users like myself. I mean, I consider myself to be somewhat tech savvy. And again, it took me from Friday until Tuesday night to get this DJI Ronin-S balanced. And that was, again, reading DJI's documentation, watching DJI's video, watching several YouTubers' third-party videos how to do this, responding or reading your comments on my channel saying, hey, check this, check that. So, I mean, it hasn't been a fun experience. But now that it's balanced, the first thing I'm going to do is, the first thing I did is photographed each axis and where everything sits. And in that way, if something inadvertently gets adjusted, I don't have to reinvent the wheel again. I could see this would be something, if somebody had multiple camera bodies and they only had one Ronin-S, and they expected to reconfigure this while in the field because they put a new camera body on there, that could become very painful. But if that person did do that, and the person did have each axis point, documented where it was setting-wise, they should be able to just look at that and match it up to where it was previously, and in theory, it should be perfectly balanced. So, this is a really cool tool. This thing is super well made. I mean, the build quality of this, I can ramble on and on about how well made it is. It really is. But, that pain point, the pain point of the initial balancing, I mean, this has been one of the most, I wouldn't go as far as say frustrating, because if you've watched my videos, you know that I've flown DJI drones, Phantom 1, Phantom 2, Phantom 2 Vision Plus, Phantom 3 Pro, Phantom 4, Phantom 4 Pro, Mavic Air, and hopefully about to be flying the new, is it the Mavic Pro 2, the Phantom X, or the Phantom 5 that's about to release. So, I've had a lot of experience with drones, and And as the newer drones have come out, they've become more and more reliable, more and more user-friendly. So, you know, in the beginning, I experienced some troubleshooting challenges. I didn't say problems, I said troubleshooting challenges, because it's always entertaining. But this thing, this Ronin-S, I was borderline becoming frustrated. And that's not a good thing. Now that it's balanced, I'm super happy. And you can watch my videos that I just posted, and you'll probably see why I'm so happy. Because it looks that good. You know, it just puts a smile on your face. But it was not a happy experience. It was not a pleasant experience getting all this configured initially. So I hope this video provides you with with some clues and maybe a quick jump start, and set some expectations, especially if you're a Sony user, what you might be up against, had you not watched this video. Because there's a lot of good information out there, but there's a lot of information that is seemingly incomplete. And it's those gaps of information that led me on this frustrating how-to goose chase. So, but I've done it, and I couldn't have done it without y'all's help, because y'all posted all these comments, helped a lot. I know there are a lot of people that also criticize my videos because they're like, man, he's not even using the Ronin, he's just using a handheld camera. But that was good feedback, because that was saying, you know what, your footage looks awful. And that's what I needed. Obviously, I was using the Ronin-S, but it just was poorly balanced. And now that it's balanced, it's an amazing thing. I mean, it's like a drone in your hands. And that segues into another topic for another video. But thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe. It's youtube.com/iRickSky, and share this video and any of my videos with others. Y'all have a good day. Oh, and check the link within this video's description, because you can find the Ronin-S, the A7 III, the 25mm lens like I use, tripod like I got the A7 III on for this, and a whole lot more. Y'all have a good day. Hey y'all, iRickSky here. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to subscribe, like, and share. It's viewers like you that enable my channel to continue to grow. Thank you.